Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to cut through all the noise and talk about one of the biggest questions for couples trying to start a family. How in the world do you get the timing right? Let's make it simple.
Okay, let's be real. If you've ever looked at one of those ovulation charts or tried to track your temperature every single morning and just felt completely lost, you are not alone. It can seriously feel like you need a PhD just to figure out what your body is doing.
But what if I told you there's a much simpler way to go about this? Well, there is. Based on some fantastic advice from a health expert, we're going to break down two incredibly straightforward formulas that basically take all the guesswork out of the equation.
All right, first things first. Before we get into any rules or formulas, there's one thing you absolutely have to know. What kind of menstrual cycle do you have? Because the answer to that one question changes the entire gameplay.
So, you pretty much fall into one of two buckets. You're either regular, which means your period shows up like clockwork, more or less. A few days difference here and there is totally normal. Or you're irregular, where it's just unpredictable, you never quite know when it's coming.
So let's start with all of you who are in that regular camp. If your cycle is predictable, there's a brilliantly simple trick for you that's going to make life so much easier.
It's called the Rule of 3. And honestly, it's as easy as it sounds. You just take the total number of days in your cycle and you chop it into 3 equal parts. That's it.
So what this does is it gives you 3 clear phases. And here's the best part. You only have to focus on that middle part. The first third and the last third, you can just think of those as rest periods. All your energy goes into that middle third. That's your fertile window.
And here's how that looks with real numbers, which makes it super clear. Let's say you have a 30-day cycle. You just divide 30 by 3, that's 10. So your key window is those middle 10 days from day 11 to day 20. If you have a 27-day cycle, it's the middle 9 days. See? Simple math, no complicated charts.
Okay, so that naturally leads to the next big question, right? Once you've figured out your fertile window, what's the plan? How often should you be having intercourse?
And the advice here is actually really freeing. If you're both healthy and up for it, every day is totally fine. But, and this is a big but, you don't have to put that pressure on yourselves. Every other day is just as effective. Why? Because sperm can actually survive for 3 to 5 days, so they'll be ready and waiting for ovulation to happen.
All right, so what about everyone whose cycles are anything but predictable? I see ya. The rule of 3 isn't going to work, but don't worry, there's another method for you, and it might actually be even simpler.
The rule could not be easier to remember. After your period ends, just have intercourse every 3rd day. That's the entire strategy. Since you can't predict when you'll ovulate, this approach just makes sure you're consistently covered, so you almost can't miss that window whenever it decides to show up.
Now here's the thing. Timing is a huge piece of the puzzle, for sure. But it's not the only piece. To really get the full picture, we need to zoom out a little bit.
You know, your body actually gives you little clues that it's in the fertile window. You might notice a little bit of a mild ache in your lower abdomen, or that your temperature goes up just a tiny bit. A very common sign is a change in cervical discharge. It might look a lot like clear egg whites. Paying attention to these signs can be a great way to confirm you're on the right track.
And this is so important, but often overlooked. The mind-body connection. Stress is a massive hormone disruptor. This quote says it all, really. The calmer you are mentally, the happier your hormones will be. So managing stress isn't just a nice to have, it's a really critical part of your fertility journey.
And of course, this is a team effort, so other factors are just as crucial. We're talking about sperm health, of course. We're also talking about a good, balanced diet for both of you, and making sure neither of you have any vitamin or mineral deficiencies that could be getting in the way.
So when should you maybe think about getting some professional help? Well, the general rule of thumb is this. If you're in your 20s and you've been actively trying for a whole year without any success, that's a great time to just go have a chat with a doctor.
And that visit doesn't have to be a scary thing at all. Typically, they'll do an ultrasound and some blood tests for the woman to check on hormones and a simple semen analysis for the man. And from there, the treatment might be as simple as taking some supplements to correct a deficiency.
So let's wrap all of this up. What we're left with are 2 very clear, very simple strategies. The only thing you need to figure out is which path is the right one for you. And this right here is the main takeaway. Got a regular cycle? Use the rule of 3 and focus on that middle third. Got an irregular cycle? Use the every 3rd day rule and you're covered. 2 different situations, 2 simple rules.
So now that the whole timing question is a lot less confusing, you can free up all that mental energy to focus on the other important things like your nutrition, managing stress, and just your overall health. It's all about feeling empowered and in control of your own journey. Thanks so much for watching.